Oh, cool. Could have been worse.
It could have been way worse.
Could have been worse.
It's off most cross-country skier and snowshoers' radars. It only has about 1,300 feet of elevation change, and there are a lot of snowmobiles at the trailhead. But Frog Lake Butte isn't a bad little place to get some backcountry turns in. This is a one sandwich trip, but the descent is a double black because it's through tight trees and you'll need some experience to pull it off without frustration. The trailhead is at the same entrance one would use to get to the Frog Lake campground in the summertime. There's probably a lot of different ways to handle this, but we proceeded on the 2610 road, which is nice and wide open, helping to minimize any conflicts with the aforementioned snowmobiles. While we're talking about snowmobiles, which I promise aren't going to bother you, you should navigate to patreon.com/voiceovertrails if you want to support informational content like this. After less than a quarter mile, we arrived at the junction with the Frog Lake Butte Road. This road composes most of the climb at about 2.5 miles with around 1,000 feet of elevation gain. The road does get narrower near the top, but one of the things we really liked about this climb is that it's pretty mild, and it stays that way until very near the top of the butte. By the way, if you're here on a clear day, the exposure at this clear cut is the best view you're going to get of the Cascades all day. This isn't really a great area for views. There's thick forest all the way up to the top of the butte. It becomes pretty obvious as you get near the top of the butte that it's time to peel off from the road and cut left to get to the top of the hill. Again, all of this climbing is pretty mild, non-technical stuff. It won't challenge you in any significant way. This is definitely a place to ride when you're just looking for an excuse to play in the woods on your skis. We knew we were at the top when we came to this cell tower. This is also how we realized that there was no way we were going to get any decent exposures of Mount Hood on this trip, but we made peace with that fact and ate our lunch here anyway. Of course, I had the drone with me, so I can use it to now grossly misrepresent what you're likely to encounter at the top of this climb. There is nowhere you can stand up here to see any of this, but hey, it at least puts this little hill in context with everything else around it. We descended this with no particularly useful intelligence or previous guidance other than a cryptic entry in an old guidebook. So that means this is one of those scenarios where there are a lot of answers that are simultaneously right and wrong at the same time. In this case, we headed west-northwest off the summit with the plan to intersect with the road again and then decide what to do at that point. There were some tantalizing sections near the top of the butte where the forest was open enough to afford some genuine glade skiing, but then the forest thickened up significantly as we descended. This led to some truly interesting moments as we poked around and picked our way down the hill. This really isn't a place to come for an epic shred down the mountain. It's a place to come just to play in the woods. From the road, we made the decision to descend through the clear cut down to the 2610 spur road, and that really did turn out to be the right decision. It's not exactly the longest run out there, but this clear cut was wide open, afforded some views out to the other mountains, and steep enough to get some turns in, but not so steep as to ever be an avalanche danger. Then we had to pick our way through some more trees before arriving on the spur road. There's a little bit of descent on the spur road to get out of here, but I found myself needing to snow skate for a while as well to keep momentum up until finally just giving up and putting on the skins. And that's kind of all there is to it. I remarked at the bottom of this that skiing here was kind of like eating cold spaghetti over the sink after work. You know, the kind that has the really good spicy meatballs in it. So like you're eating cold leftovers, but you get those little chunks of spicy, meaty flavor. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's like that. Not bad, really. I'd do it again. Also, this place is ideal for powdery or wintry days where you're worried about visibility and or avalanche danger because it's all heavily forested or low-angle terrain with nowhere for avalanches to run. And the thick woods help cut the wind as well. So when all the avalanche warnings are telling you to stay out of the fun zones, but you're jonesing for a little ski snack, come here and get your fix. I'd like to take this moment to thank all my Patreon supporters, especially my Low Me Goodness level sponsors Andy Suri, Charles Kim, Damon Corey, Randy Relithford, and Ty Morgan Marbit. I'd also like to thank my Hero Dirt level sponsors, earning their special mention at the end of this video: Bryce Ulrich, Heather Van Valkenburg, Jason Moore, and Pedro Cantarini. If you'd like to join these generous, gentle people and scholars, navigate to patreon.com and choose a sponsorship level that's appropriate for you. Now, get out there and go poke around in the snowy woods.